Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Monica Saini from Department of Anthropology, University of Delhi. Today we are going to talk on the module Anthropological Perspective of Forensic Anthropology from paper Forensic Anthropology. This module will let you familiarize with basic traits and interdisciplinary nature of forensic anthropology, and it will also let you develop a sound understanding of anthropological perspective of forensic anthropology. In this module, you will get the knowledge of recent advances in biological science and anthropology and its impact on forensic anthropology. Students, first of all, I'll define what is anthropology. Anthropology is derived from two Greek words, anthropo and logos. Anthropo means human being and logos means speech or talk about. It can be thus described as the study of humanity. The anthropologist Eric Wolf once characterized anthropology as the most scientific of the humanities and the most humanistic of the social sciences. It is basically the study of human being in totality, and it manifests in several subfields such as cultural and linguistic anthropology, that is the study of the aspects of human society and language in the past and present. The second division is archaeology, which is the study of past culture via material remains and artifacts. And the next division is physical or biological anthropology. It is the study of human evolution, variation, and adaptation. Understanding how anthropology developed contributes to understanding how it fits into another academic disciplines. Other disciplines in physical anthropology are genetics, human growth, primatology, paleoanthropology, human osteology, that is the study of skeleton, paleodemography, vital statistics of past population, skeletal biology, nutrition, dental anthropology, and human adaptation. I will tell you about the history of forensic anthropology and how it developed. We have been fascinated by 4,000 of years, nearly as long as anatomically modern humans have been found. Around 15th century, when Europeans came in light by colonizing America, sudden interest was developed in indigenous population as because they look different in various ways, like the type of clothes they wear, languages they speak, building they built, almost everything was different. Thus, the Europeans attempted to classify the population in group based on physical and social traits, which consist of height, face shape, language, and region. But that time, science was very little. In 19th century, as the science developed and acquired a tentative foothold in the human development and diversity, fossils were studied, measurements of living subjects were made, and Charles Darwin published his groundbreaking on the origin of species, in which he discussed how natural selection shaped human evolution and development. However, forensic anthropology, as we know, it made late appearance to the biological anthropology field. The history of forensic anthropology can be divided into four periods. The first period is formative period, which was ranged between 1849 to 1938. Second period was consolidation period, which remained from 1939 to 1971. Third period was modern period, which remained around 1972 to 1999. Fourth was the fourth era, which started around 2000. Forensic anthropology is a subdiscipline within the subfield of physical anthropology. It involves the application of scientific techniques developed in physical anthropology and anthropological knowledge in a legal context to aid detection of crime such as homicide, bank robberies, murder, rape, child sex abuse, accident, massive destruction, etc. It borrows methods and techniques developed from skeletal biology and osteology and applies them to the cases of forensic importance. Generally speaking, forensic anthropology is the examination of human skeletal remains for law enforcement agencies to determine the identity of unidentified, particularly by bones, since bones often survive the process of decay and provides the main evidence for the human form after death. Through the established methods, a forensic anthropologist can aid law enforcement in establishing a profile on the unidentified remains. A forensic physical anthropologist can assist in the identification of deceased individuals whose remains are decomposed, burnt, mutilated, or otherwise unrecognizable. The profile includes sex, age, ethnicity, height, length of the time since death, and sometimes the evaluation of trauma seen on bones. Now, you'll be studying about various fields of forensic science. The first field is forensic biology. It involves the examination of exhibit material to recover sources of DNA for subsequent DNA profiling. DNA profiling consists of biology analytical, which includes extraction, quantization, amplification of DNA. And the second is biology reporting, which consists of application of DNA profiling software, comparison of generated profiles, and statistical interpretation of any matches obtained. In the biology discipline, assault cases are the majority of cases that are examined. They subclassify into the various degrees of sexual and aggravated assault and the most ultimate of assault, that is homicide. The second field is forensic chemistry. Forensic chemistry in Canada refers to the chemical analysis of materials in support of the justice system. This includes the analysis of fire debris for ignitable liquids, gunshot residues, paint, glass, fibers, explosive, building materials, and soil. Forensic chemists analyze any trace evidence that is not a body fluid. These are normal, everyday products which we don't normally think of in relation to crimes. But crime occur in everyday places such as houses, offices, gardens, streets, and sidewalks. So these everyday materials are frequently of interest at a crime scene due to the potential transfer from offender to victim and victim to offender. This exchange of material is known as Locard exchange principle, stating that every contact leaves a trace. Third field of forensic science is forensic toxicology. Forensic toxicology is quite different from forensic chemistry, whereas a forensic chemist performs chemical analysis of a myriad of everyday material. Forensic toxicologists concentrate on the chemicals found in body fluid, primarily drugs, alcohol, and poisons, and with chemicals related to the making and using of drugs such as methamphetamine, needles, and spoons. The fourth field is forensic pathology. It is the application of medical science to legal problems. Forensic pathologists are physicians with particular expertise in injury interpretation and death investigation, including determination of cause and manner of death. They are trained to perform autopsy examinations, and this comprises the majority of their workload. The next field is forensic odontology. It helps in identifying victims of crime or accident, but it can also help to solve rape, catch child molesters, and even catch killers. There are many ways forensic dentistry can help in an investigation. The human dentition is particularly valuable in victim identification because of the survivability of dental structures. Enamel is the hardest substance in the human body, followed by dentine, and thirdly by bone. Under forensic odontology, it is important to know about bite marks. Biting is a common aggressive act, especially during sexual encounters, and like fingerprints, can put a suspect at the crime scene. These can be both offensive and defensive. Offensive biting by the attacker is used to gain control of victims by inflicting pain. Defensive bite marks are done by victims. Students, now I will tell you some interesting facts about forensic anthropology. Looking at just the bones, you can often tell a lot of detail about an injury. The entrance and exit of a bullet, the first place that someone was struck by an object, whether damage to a bone was an antemortem injury or the result of post-mortem activity. It is very possible to look at a skull and tell with a high degree of certainty whether the person was of male or female, get a good approximation of age, and often to suggest the ancestral population or race of a person. So there is no guns, no badges, no police car, just labs, calipers, and a twisted sense of humor. Forensic anthropologists, they do not and may not assess to the cause of death. They may describe injuries that occur perimortem, that is roughly around the time of death, but only a coroner can conclude as to the actual or legal cause of death. An anthropologist attempt to incorporate knowledge from every possible sphere into meaning full understanding of humanity by its holistic approach, along with culturally neutral ethno-relativistic stand and participant observation. The holistic approach helps an anthropologist to look his area of study from all angles. By adapting a culturally neutral stand, an anthropologist analyzes an event or behavior in terms of its internally consistent logic and rationale without being judgmental about it. Now you will get to know that how an anthropologist is involved in forensic. In exhumation and identification of victim of war, in ethnic cleansing, and in genocide, an anthropologist work as a part of multidisciplinary team. The works by definition is multidisciplinary and integrate all four fields of anthropology, that is biology, cultural, archaeological, and linguistic. Following are the responsibilities which are accorded to forensic anthropology in a multidisciplinary forensic team, and these responsibilities are to maintain the scientific integrity of the investigation, to maintain and confirm appropriate legal convention of investigation, and to fulfill his responsibility to the local community affected by the events. Next, I will tell you how remains are analyzed. Forensic anthropology or forensic anthropologist prepares the skeletal inventory depicting presence or absence and duplication of element beside assessment of conditions of remains, including taphonomic assessment of post-mortem stage, that is staining and root etching. A standardized view of skeletal remains are taken which indicate skeletal overview of individual in an anatomical order, maxillary and mandible dentition, all elements used to establish the age of individual, and all antemortem trauma or pathology and all perimortem traumas. The forensic anthropologist examines a number of questions which include: is it bone? Is it animal or human bone? How many individuals are represented? Evidence for time since death, sex of the individual, age at death, ancestry, stature of the individual, evidence of trauma that may assist in determining the cause or manner of death, any individualizing feature such as evidence of medical devices, bone anomalies, bone pathologies, old fracture, fingerprints, amputations, and finally, the identity of the deceased. The biological profiling of human remains include determination of sex, age, ancestry, stature, and identification of victim. First, we will be talking about the determination of sex. Sex, not gender, must be assessed first. Before dealing with the method of determination of sex, it would be apt to differentiate sex from gender. Sex is biological consequence of chromosomal inheritance, whereas gender is social construct based on self-identification of individual in his or her culture. Sex difference may be observed in a human skeleton after onset of puberty. No attempt should be made to determine sex of an individual whose innominate are not fused at acetabulum. DNA can be used for determination of infant and juvenile. Caution must be applied when transferring anthropological technique from one population to other until anthropologists became familiar to normal range of variation between male and female within given population. Second is age estimation. Ascertaining a person's age at the time of death from human skeleton is arguably the most important and difficult portion of analysis. The importance of age estimation is that it allows the investigator to narrow the search through missing persons record. Age estimation depends on two fundamental lives: growth and decline. Third is stature estimation. Estimating living stature relationship between limb length and height. Anthropologists can measure the arm, leg bones and put the measurement into a mathematical formula that account for variation. By using the formula, a height range is produced, which can be used to exclude individuals that fall outside those limits. If remains contain any long bone, stature can be estimated. Formulae are based on the assumption that a long bone is proportionally related to the one or the individual. Stature estimation could be quite accurate. The fourth, determination of ancestry. The estimation of ancestry on the biological and geographic origin of the individual according to their genetic history, is the integral part of the biological life, while most of the medico-legal agencies ask for determination of race of individual. Variation remains in order to search missing proper file. However, it is not possible to relate social race and biogeography ancestry. The former is a social phenomenon based on the perceived appearance of the people, while latter is a biological variability maintained via genetic drift, endogamy, which accelerated particular characteristics in each population. Human variations result from relative genetic isolation of population for long periods of time, which accentuate particular characteristic in each population. While some variability is adaptively based, most of it is simply the result of perpetuation of particular morphology due to breeding within a restricted area. This is all relative, as people living in the center of population area will most resemble the norm for that population, while people on the edges of the population will share characteristics blend with those of other adjacent population. Next, you will be studying the practical approaches of forensic science. The first practical approach is investigation. The term investigation is a systematic inquiry or an examination which is related to some incident and situations for obtaining required information. Thus, investigation involves whole examination and scrutiny of facts, traces of information for complete investigation. An investigator is any person who is involved in the whole inquiry or process of investigation. The study of crime scene, therefore, is to identify, investigate, and apprehending the guilty and present him before the law. Thus, investigation holds a very important role in examining a crime scene and putting the criminal behind the bars. The following figure depicts the process of identification of criminal. The second practical approach is the search evidence or the searching of evidences. Search technologists are trained to be able to identify body fluids such as semen and blood. For example, by performing a series of biochemical and microscopic tests that can either indicate the presence of a body fluid or can positively identify the target body fluid. For example, a positive result with the fast blue test, a biochemical test that assays for the enzyme acid phosphatase, tells the examiner that semen may be present on a particular stain. In contrast, the hemochromosome test used in blood identification is specific since it crystallizes the iron core of hemoglobin, a molecule found only in blood. A positive test with hemochromosome tells the examiner that the presence of blood is confirmed on a particular stain. The third practical approach is to find trauma causes and the manner of death. Death is the cessation of all biological function of the living body. Its causes and manners are different. Cause of death is the disease or inquiry that generates pathological alteration in the body that leads to death responsible for death. For example, gunshot wound, blunt force, trauma, stab wound, etc. The underlying or proximate cause of death is that which is continuous sequence unbroken by an efficient intervening cause produces fatality and without which the end result would not have occurred. Immediate causes of death are complication and sequel of the underlying cause. Now you will be knowing about different kind of traumas. The first one is ante-mortem trauma, which means before death. It helps in identification of individual. The forensic anthropologist must assess the skeleton for congenital abnormalities or any sign of disease or trauma that the individual suffered during life. Forensic anthropologists search for evidence of diseases that alter bone at local or systematic levels. Perimortem trauma is an injury that occurred at the time of death. Evaluation of perimortem trauma to the skeleton have an important place in anthropological explanations. Signs and injury may not only suggest manner and cause of death, but also insight into treatment of the body at the time of death and its disposal. The third kind of trauma is post-mortem trauma, which means after death. An observation of changes that occur to the body during this time are critical in determination of time since death. In general, post-mortem changes are not associated with death and are the result of natural taphonymic processes. Postmortem involves two very important terms, that is postmortem dismemberment and disarticulation. The next practical approach of forensic science is identification. The most challenging issues in investigation of genocide and crime against humanity are that of victim identification. Identification has critical meaning for survivors, for courts, and to the expert. Status of identification depends on its tenacity to withstand objective criteria and second opinion scrutiny. The majorities of identification are presumptive and accepted in good faith without further challenge. However, in case of insurance and homicides, higher standard of identification is adopted and identification must be positive. In vast majority of cases, anthropologist and odontologist is not involved in examination. Deviation from this practice occurs when there is no means of visual identification is possible, body is disfigured, decomposed and skeletonized, and in all cases of homicides where there are perceived questionable circumstances surrounding death, and in the event of mass fatality situation. Issues of positive identification become paramount in mass fatality for two reasons. The first reason is multiple victims are involved for where there is no reliable manifest, and the second reason is there are often fragment of victims or delay in recovery of remains with subsequent decomposition. Identification used to be categorical for legal purpose, as it would be suffice to reveal that victim was from a particular religion or ethnic group. Their personal positive identification in terms of sex, age, ancestry, stature may not have much of importance, and establishment of some will demand much higher budget, personal experience, time, resources. Personal experience and resources are needed to conduct interview at gathering information about the missing, collection of DNA sample from the relative, and compilation of data work. Various techniques are used in forensic anthropology for identification, and these techniques include DNA profile study using various methods available like assays and blots, etc., anatomical study of body, vital organ study, odontology, carbon dating, HMRS technique, that is magnetic resonance spectroscopy to identify products of brain tissue decomposition, and the last technique is UV spectroscopy for protein and enzyme estimation. I'll be talking about recent trends a new perspective in forensic anthropology. Forensic anthropology research was initially focused on human skeletal remains for definition of victims' biological profile, that is sex, age, and stature. There are important extension of the analysis to new methodology for the study of skeletal biology and for the reconstruction of the events. Subsequently, there was a progressive extension to the diagnostic of living person with reference both to the diagnostic features and to the identification of the individual from images taken by video surveillance system and movies. Data from recent trend analysis has shown increase by 29% in virtual anthropology. Analysis has also revealed the following main points. There has been a significant increase in forensic anthropological studies over time. This is according to the PubMed database. The acceleration in forensic anthropology has slowly diminished in last decade. Papers published in the last decade in forensic science show a general trend to an increase in forensic anthropology article and a prevailing interest in research on skeletal biology, particularly sex and age diagnosis. Virtual anthropology is a newly emerging forensic anthropology topic in recent publication in Forensic Science International Journals. So students, now let us summarize what we have studied. Forensic anthropologist has expanded rapidly during the past decade. It has grown to include flashed and burnt remains and led to an increase in courtroom testimony regarding interpretation of trauma as well as involvement in civil suits concerning accident and other issues having relevance. It is integral to investigation genocides, war crimes, and crime against humanity. Shift in focus from creation of biological profile to interpretation of trauma and demonstration of pattern is large-scale events that demonstrate criminal intent by perpetrators of mass murder. Today, anthropologist is expected to be well versed in anthropological fields like aspect of crime scene investigated and issues involving human rights and humanitarian and diplomatic aspects of international projects. Too few people entering to this field are aware of the complex nature of the word, its context, and multiplicity of the function that they must fulfill. The provider of education of anthropology must address these issues. Thank you.